morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Monday. I'm back. I was, I got hit with something, slapped me in the face, put me up on the shelf, and I'm still, about 60, 70% right now, but I'm at the end of it. Now it's more of the draining of whatever it was, but it's good to be back. Happy MLK Day, right? So Martin Luther King Day, the markets are closed. Of course, it is Inauguration Day today as well. I think right before the show ends. About 15 minutes or so before the show ends, 20, 15 minutes, depending on if they're on time or not, Donald Trump will officially be sworn in and take the oath as the 47th President of the United States. And holy cow, I'm excited. Right? I think a lot of people are. I mean, think about, we had this inflation report, which I was sick, so I missed it. It really wasn't very good, but apparently it was. But that's a different story. We have a ceasefire in the Middle East, and we have had 3 whole hostages released. It's the craziest ceasefire I've ever heard of. Apparently, phase 1 is going to take like 40-something days, so I'm sure nothing will go wrong. But why does everything have to be so complicated, right? Like you however many of the hostages are still alive, just release them all. When whatever Israel is going to do, release them all, get it over with, right? Nope, gotta draw this thing out. And for everybody that was hoping that Hamas had been destroyed. Boy, it sure didn't look like it in that parade they threw. But I am excited because I think that, Donald Trump's going to do a bunch of great things. I'm convinced of it. I'm pumped up about it. I mean, did you see he patted himself, made a few more bucks with his crypto deal. And then Melania now, she's got her own crypto. Listen, a crypto for everybody. Of course, we know the hands of the very few. The billionaires are very excited. It's crazy. But when you start to think about all the ring kissing that has gone on, even guys like Bill Gates and Bezos and Zuckerberg, right? All of them suddenly changing their tune. Well, you know what? Hey, they're going to get a lot wealthier. I think they all kind of know it, and they're all on board with it. What is going to happen tomorrow? I don't know, right? Are we going to get tariffs? Are we not going to get tariffs? I mean, that was kind of like a big thing. Now they're I guess, another report. We get them almost every day. Another report. Well, we're going to do them, but maybe not right now. I don't know what that means. But I think we're going to see some border stuff. We're going to get a lot of executive orders. And I think for right now, the Republican side of things, they're fired up, right? They're excited. There's a lot of... I think a lot of happiness on that side. The left kind of, it seems like they're a little defeated right now, kind of laying down and saying, okay, let's just see what happens, right? Kind of, let's just see how he does. And as David Chappelle on Saturday Night Live, hey, do better this time. Okay. We'll see what happens, but Jason, I will say this: I'm really excited because, and I'm excited because I think Trump gives us so much to talk about for the first time since 1874. That was a long time ago, 1874. I mean, that's when $20 liberties and a $20 bill were worth the same amount of money, right? I mean, Look at what they've done since then. But this is the last time they had foreign governments, foreign heads of state at the inauguration. We're going to have a bunch of them there. A lot of the billionaires are going to be there. But there's definitely, I feel the excitement in the air. I'm excited because I think today starts the next leg of the gold bull run. This is just what's going to happen. And I think one of the things that is exciting about all of this is no matter what it is that gets done, whether it's the border, tariffs, extending tax cuts, right? It's going to be expensive. And the one thing that we do know is whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, Jason, they like to spend that money.
There's going to be a lot of spending, Joe. We'll watch and see where the markets are headed. I think they're going to be able to create, especially through spending, a calm period possibly for a while. We'll see what happens in March, and I guess the debt ceiling sort of was triggered today or tomorrow, right?
Yeah, so it's on, right? Yeah, right. We've hit the debt ceiling. We knew that, right? We've talked about it, and they're going to have to do some stuff, and they're going to have emergency measures, and that gives some time, right? They can stretch it out for a while here. There's a lot of things that have to be done. There's no doubt in my mind that they're going to be excited. We'll see. We'll see how much they can do, right? How long can the Republicans hold it together? And the problem is, gosh, you lose 2 or 3 of them and everything stopped, right? You've got to almost literally have everybody be in line. We haven't seen that before, but I'm excited. I think this is a new start for a lot of things in America today. We'll be back. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason on this Monday. The markets are closed. It's not closed for the inauguration, but closed for MLK Day. But obviously everybody kind of focused in on the inauguration. The gold markets and the silver market, they're open. Gold's up. Silver's up today. Gold $27.10. Silver $30.42. And as we keep telling people, get diversified here. Take advantage. Listen, you got high stock prices right now. We've got some euphoria about what's going to happen with Trump. Be smart. Take some risk off the table. Everything. When we go back and we look at whether it was the financial crisis, the dot-com bubble, the 87 crisis, they all have the same characteristics, right? You have these long periods of an inverted bond yield curve. We just came off the longest one, right? We know from history what happens when after a really long inverted yield curve on the bond markets, when they uninvert, what happens? Let's see. The third longest in U.S. history now was the financial crisis. That wasn't very good. The second longest in U.S. history, that was the Great Depression. And then, of course, this one, which was the longest. Now we're waiting. We don't know. Normally, as we said, you get 3 to 6 months, 90 to 180 days. We're about halfway. To seeing this. Take some risk off the table. Like I said, this is the start. Today starts the next leg of this gold bull market. Silver, we know, is coming with it. Call us. We can help you with setting up precious metals, IRAs, gold and silver IRAs. Take some of that risk off the table as we sit here. And even though we're like, wait, but Joe, there's going to be great things. Yes. Listen, I don't want to listen. What happened in the Middle East, that was a great thing. Kind of a weird deal, right? I hope it makes it the 42 days or whatever for phase one. I don't even know what phase two is. Doesn't look as positive on the Russia-Ukraine thing all of a sudden. Now the tariffs, we don't know. Are tomorrow? Is it going to happen? Not happen? We don't know what's going to happen with the border. Again, we don't know. But there's going to be a lot of good talk. Here's one thing I think I do know. Deregulation, I think, will be. He did a lot of that in his first term. I think he's going to do a lot more of it. Of course, what does that mean? Well, it can be a really good thing. It tends, this is just what it tends to benefit the big companies, the rich guys. That's just what it does. Why? Because, well, they get to spend less money. Hey, if you take away this regulation, that means I don't have to spend money making sure I'm following that regulation, right? I mean, that's kind of course, the part they don't tell you, it does increase risk. Because why was the regulation in to begin with? Well, probably because people were doing some bad stuff. We'll see. I think the biggest thing that Donald Trump wants to do or is going to do is extend these tax cuts. These tax cuts were supposed to expire this year. They were supposed to go away as part of the last time he was in office as a way for it not to run up the deficit. It was supposed to expire. Now he says, and everybody said, oh, all hell will come undone, right? And the dogs of hell will be unleashed. We got to extend this tax cut. The CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, and granted, these guys are terrible, right? I'll say this. I would like Elon Musk to get rid of this agency and replace it with somebody that actually can do real projecting, because the CBO is only allowed to do what the government tells it. But they came out over the weekend, ready for what they said. They said, hey, the deficit's going to jump $24 trillion in the next decade. Now, of course, we're at 36 and a half. But we stopped counting now, right? Because we're at the debt ceiling. But 36 and a half. So essentially what the CBO says is, hey, by 2035, the debt's going to be $60 trillion. But unfortunately for us, one of the things that they said was, that's if the Trump's tax cuts expire, right? So they're not going to. So they said, well, if that doesn't, that's going to add somewhere in the $3 to $5 trillion range. Then they said, ready for this? This is why I'm telling you right now, get more diversified. I can't tell you the exact date. With these projections, and this would be a miracle, I want people to understand what we're really talking about here. 10 years, $24 trillion. So, that's $2.4 trillion of debt a year on average for the next 10 years. I don't think we'll have a year below $2.4 trillion. Any year. None of them, right? It's just not possible. But how did they say this? Well, here's one of the things they said. We're going to have 1.8% annual GDP growth. And by the way, inflation will only be 2%. Okay, so we're already at a bad start, right? The unemployment rate, well, here's the good news. Hey, it's going to be about right where it is. They went up a little bit to 4.4%. What is it now, 4.2, right? Wow. Let me tell you right now, I would love that to be true. everything that they just said. So we're going to go another 10 years with no recessions. None. We're going to grow about 2% a year. We're only going to have 2% inflation. Nobody's getting fired. Oh, and by the way, they said that the federal funds rate will be 3.2%, and in their, however they do their math, that means the 10-year note's going to be 3.8. That is how you get to $24 trillion in 10 years, Jason. And, of course, any of these numbers, here's the problem. Well, let's just say inflation's 3%. What happens? Uh-oh. Well, all of a sudden, there's another 3 to 5 trillion. What happens if the Fed's funds rate, the 10-year note, instead of 3.8, is 4.8? Right? Okay, it's just 1 point double. No problem. Oh, we're only off a little bit. No. See, the problem with that is that adds another $5 trillion. Jason, the way the CBO has laid this out, we're probably going to be looking at what we always have said. Listen, we're on a path of doubling every 8 years. We're probably going to have deficits closer, and I hate to say it, it's going to be much closer to 48 trillion than 24 trillion. Right? So this is kind of what we're looking at. If you split the difference, right, you're talking 36, which would be essentially doubling from where we're at today. And Jason, I think we would have to literally hit back to back home runs just to get to 36. We're probably going to be talking about a deficit in 2035 somewhere between, I don't know, closing in on $80 trillion. That's what the data is saying.
The debt, you're talking about the national debt in, what did you say, 8 years?
National debt, yeah. In 10 years, 2035.
I was trying to, as you were talking, try to get the exact level it was at on Inauguration Day 2017. I haven't found it yet. Just to see where we're at, because we're over 36 right now. So I have a feeling it was probably 20 or something like that. It's probably where we were at. It was probably 19 something. I remember when Obama was leaving, it was like 19 trillion. Okay, so now here we are, 2 inaugurations, 8 years later. We're at over 36, which is like another 17 trillion. So it doesn't quite double every 8 years. So based off that, here's the thing: there's so many things they could say. Well, what if this and what if that? You could also throw in, well, what if there's hyperinflation? What would that do to the debt? Would that increase that doubling? So that 60 trillion, Joe, is going to be short just by historical. Yep. It's going to be it's going to be 70 trillion. It's going to be 70 trillion on Inauguration Day 2033. It most likely, if everything just kind of.
You're shaving off 2 years, though, right? Because this is a 10-year deal. So Jason's right. The next inauguration, that's 4 years. Go to the next one, that's 8 years from now. 8 years from now, we will be in the $70 trillion range. That's why I said by year 10, this number, why we should stop funding this. Okay, you know what? Maybe that's what we could do. Let's just have a contest and see how well they did. And if it comes back that, hey, in 10 years, it was 80 trillion, not 60 trillion, can we agree that we shouldn't pay for this group to come out anymore? I mean, they've never been right once. And really, when you think about these forecasts that they've had, we've actually been in a period now of really big growth when you think about after the financial crisis. I mean, we had the COVID hiccup, but then, all the stuff that came after it. I mean, these guys even when they get good data, still are way off the mark here. And this is just something, like I said, again, this isn't taking away from Donald Trump. I love it. People are pumped up. I'm pumped up. The thing is, what really is pumped up is the amount of debt the United States finds itself in. And, of course, like I said, is it ironic that he's getting inaugurated and we're hitting the debt ceiling all at the same time, right? Janet Yellen, thank God she's gone. But her final act as Treasury Secretary, Jason, was to institute emergency measures on U.S. debt.
Yep. Well, and the national debt should be zero, by the way. It should be a recurring borrowing and payoff scheme. I did a little bit of Andrew Jackson, Joe, when you were gone last week, and it can be done. You eliminate the Federal Reserve, you eliminate the IRS and federal income tax. The first thing would happen is the bankers and the rich of the world would economically attack the citizens of this country and this country itself. We'd go into a massive depression, which would last a very short couple of years. And on the backside of that, we'd have economic prosperity. You know, if a massive war didn't annihilate the country completely because the rest of the countries want to stay in the system. But essentially, that's what Andrew Jackson did, Joe. He paid off the national debt, killed the central bank. There was a short depression, but after that, it was America became the most powerful economic country in the world, leading up to the Civil War.
I know. More crazy talk from the guys at Patriot. We'll be back. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason here on this Monday, Inauguration Day, MLK Day. And we are just really sitting in a great spot, especially for U.S. gold and silver buyers. Not so much in India, in China, in Europe, right? All of those countries, massive demands continuing, really high premiums. You know, premiums here are enough that we're now seeing foreigners, big foreign buyers, buying on our market because it's cheaper. This is a huge opportunity here in honor of Donald Trump's inauguration. I'm going to put 47, right? Because he's now the 47th president of the United States. Coming up here in like the next 15 minutes or so, it'll be official. $20 gold pieces. And we're going to be, remember that day we were below spot? We sold them at $26.50. That's what we're going to do today. 47 $20 gold pieces, $2,650. Right? So we're like, what, $55, $60 below spot. By the way, February, right, which is what, 10 days basically from now, 11 days from now, the February gold contract, it's already at $27.25, so $75 below the February gold contract. Put them away, because guess what? Donald Trump's going to do great things for gold. He is. And silver. Great things. This is the time when you want to take advantage. And here's the best part. The best part is, well, why are premiums so much cheaper here than everywhere else? Well, look at what's going on. Look at what's going on in Japan. Right? They just had that big turmoil in their currency. Right? Had to have a new government and got a quote-unquote war hawk guy in there now. South Korea. We talked about it a little bit. That stuff's gone crazy. You had tens of thousands of people surrounding the president's house to try to stop him from getting arrested. You had thousands of troops, right, because he tried to declare martial law. France, same thing, right? Oh, because this government. Germany, same thing. England, same thing. Look at Canada, same thing. Here in the U.S., our gold buyers, guess what? They got, hey, we got the guy we wanted. Because right now, let's face it, if it was Kamala Harris right now instead of Donald Trump, gold would probably still be, $2,700 and change. It would be. The difference would be what? Most of the people that buy gold, just how it is, I don't know why it's this way, but it just seems to be this way. Right? They'd be very unhappy, and boom, right? You're piling in, and the premiums are through the roof. We're probably talking $20 gold pieces, probably above $3,000. That's probably where they would be. Take advantage. Because guess what? Gold's going above 3,000. Whether Donald Trump was the president or not. Remember when I kept saying in the run-up to the election, hey, it doesn't really matter who wins. I wasn't talking about how you would feel, how I would feel. I wasn't talking about the border or war or anything like that. I was just talking about this is what it's going to cost the United States to continue to try to fund runaway deficits. And now we're here. There's nothing Donald Trump can't do anything about it. I mean, I think it's great that he got Elon, and I guess Vivek's going to leave. I guess he's going to run for governor of Ohio or something. And, of course, they've already come out and said, well, it wasn't going to be $2 trillion, but, well, how about $1 trillion? And then the Republicans said, well, here's $600 billion, but we can't pass that either, right? I mean, Jason, at the end of the day, we knew this already. Take advantage here, 47 $20 gold pieces at $2,650. Call, take a few, take as many as you want, and then guess what? Turn the tube on and watch our guy be sworn in as the next president, Jason.
I ran these at $27.75. Joe put them on the air. I think Tuesday, and I ran them the rest of the week, and it was a great price at $27.75. Gold hasn't. It went up. Yeah, it went up while Joe was gone. It's up a little bit today. Last I saw, I don't know if it's still up, but it's up
$5 right now. Yeah, gold's up $5.
And now you've got it for the few that may have ordered at $27.75. We might be able to adjust that. Right, Joe? We can. If there's a couple of you guys lingering out there, but $26.50 is, right. Suddenly we're back to 2 weeks ago before gold went up, right, Joe? For these,
well, and again,
for these coins, because if it wasn't this deal, they would probably still be 2,700 and something, right, Joe?
Yeah, but we'd be 28 and a quarter, which still at 28 and a quarter, think about it. It's like $100 over spot. That's nothing. But you know what? I was sitting there, and I was off all last week. I know that if I'm excited, our listeners are excited. And you know what? This is kind of my way of, hey, listen, I want to do something kind of cool. And I want to be able to be able to say, man, remember when Donald got inaugurated and I put those 20s out at $2,650? I mean, that's kind of what I'm gunning for here. This will be one of those I told you so moments for those of you that aren't going to take advantage of it. Wait till you see what gold does next. That's all I'm going to say about it. 800-951-0592. I got to talk about it. We'll talk about it on the half-empty cup as well. How about Joe Biden pardoning? Everybody gets a pardon. Even people that, heck, they're not even charged with any crimes. You're pardoned anyway. 800-951-0592. $20 gold pieces. You've heard it right. $26.50. Gold's 27.05, 27.10. February gold 27.25. Way below spot. In honor of Donald Trump coming into office. For those of you, especially, you know what? We have some people that are like, you know what? Donald Trump's not the savior, right? He's not the savior guy. Right here, here's your chance. Jump in and get it. For those of you that think he is, jump in and get it. Because I'm going to tell you right now, and I said this all along, it really didn't matter. Gold's going a lot higher. And then the question will be, how soon does everything else, all these factors and funding of debt and who's going to default first, and over the weekend a bunch of talk about sovereign defaults. And, of course, you know, we hit the debt ceiling, and then Joe Biden, I mean, he's been pardoning everybody and his grandma. I think he set a record for the most pardons already. Decided that, you know what, apparently he believes in the rule of law. But I guess not really, because he issued pardons to Anthony Fauci. He issued pardons to people like General Miley. Also pardons to, what was it, Cheney, and who was it, Schiff, right? The guy that was leading all of these discredited information out there. And Jason, I find this interesting. The rule of law apparently doesn't need to be followed because Joe Biden now setting the once the precedent has been set. Why do I get the feeling we're going to see a lot more of this kind of stuff? Well, he was my friend or did things that I liked, whether or not they were legal or not. We don't even want to find out. Let's not even find out. We're just going to preemptively pardon all of these people, whether or not they were going to even be charged with anything to begin with.
I mean, I think essentially he can be doing that right now before the actual swearing in, right? He could still be doing it. Is that right? Or was yesterday like the last day? I always forget that. But it could be happening still.
It's a good question. I don't know all the answers to when exactly is it official. Like, it may be official right now. Technically, I think it's Justice Roberts. Trump was putting his hand on the Bible and all that stuff. But I don't know if it was yesterday, this morning. But, yeah, it's one of those things where I point this out because this is kind of what happens when by the way, apparently it could keep happening because I just got Joe Biden today has pardoned his entire family. So apparently Jason was right. Apparently until it's done, it's not done. But yes, in his final minutes in office, Joe Biden has now pardoned his entire family. Himself, Hunter, his wife, right, his brothers, everybody gets a pardon.
So that just happened, huh? That just happened today?
Just happening now.
What does that say about your family that you have to pardon everybody? Yeah, I wonder how many of those people are pardoned because he just doesn't know if he should or not. It's like, well, did my wife commit some crimes? I really don't know. I better just pardon her anyways.
Yeah, right? And again, I think they know, right? But I bring this up because this is the decay that you see when things, why are we so divided, right? Why are people like I said, you're either euphoric, right, or you're just depressed, and this is the rot that we're talking about. I'll give you a great example. Illinois, right? You talk about broke. By the way, Illinois got downgraded again. That's another thing I missed while we were gone. They're almost now to junk. So they're one level above junk. Congratulations to Illinois. They're talking about legalizing prostitution. Now, I don't know, whatever. Hey, for or against, it doesn't matter. What this just tells you, right? This is what happens to societies as they rot away morally, ethically, financially. These things somehow become generally accepted. What Joe Biden did this weekend, right now, this morning even, and pardoning his entire family and all these other people, but then say, but I believe in the law. Well, obviously he didn't, did he? Right? And this is something where, we saw it with Donald Trump. A lot of people will say, well, this is what happened with Donald Trump, right? He was being persecuted. It really didn't have to do with law. It had to do with, going after and attacking this guy. And it's another great example. These are the examples that you see when we're sitting there telling you, man, I hope you're doing all you can to make sure you're protected, get your gold and silver put away. This stuff's happening. And the speed at what it's happening, you have no idea how fast this thing is going to come. We just laid out for you in 10 years. 10 years is nothing. We're going to have a deficit near $80 trillion. Oh, by the way, Medicare and Medicaid go broke before that. Social Security goes broke before that. Yeah, it could be even bigger than that, right? We may be way under. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason wrapping up this Monday. Let's not forget free TikTok, too. Right? Yes, everybody. You know what? It's just another hilarity. Oh, my gosh. Well, the Chinese can get all your data. Dude, all these companies can get all our data, right? Are we kidding ourselves? I mean, kids doing, I don't know, choreographed dances and stupid human tricks and everything else. Again, I think that's something I think even some of the liberals are probably happy about, because most people we've already given up. Haven't we given up? Okay. It's okay for you to have all of our data, but somehow the Chinese, knowing that I do stupid human tricks, is going to cause damage. I guess. I don't know. Congratulations. By the way, executive orders that are going to be coming down. Looks like there's going to be a slew of executive orders at the border. That is going to, one of the things, closing the border for asylum-seeking migrants, end birthright citizenship, which, if you really know the case, that's not what the Supreme Court really said. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes of that. Involving the military at the border. One of the things, that's kind of a touchy thing. There's laws about what the U.S. military can or cannot do, but he is going to declare a national emergency, which will unlock federal funds. Now, I don't know what that's going to do during the debt ceiling, but unlock federal funds without approval from Congress, so Trump can build the wall, do those things. He's going to designate, this is what we're being told, drug cartels as global terrorists. Allowing them to provide aid, and I think allowing them to use like National Guard to protect the border. He's expected to end remote work policy, ordering many of the government agencies back to office, end the DEI stuff, which should have never been there, direct on trade. Now, this is what I'm being told. Direct federal agencies to begin investigating trade practices. So that's not a tariff. Assess China's compliance with a trade deal that Trump had signed in 2020, as well as the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, and then order the feasibility of creating an external revenue service to collect tariffs and duties. Now, I don't see anything about actually imposing a tariff. So we'll see. If that doesn't happen, we're probably going to get higher gold prices tomorrow because we're going to get a weaker dollar. That's probably looks like to me that maybe that's not one of the things he's going to do that he said he was going to do. We'll see. On the energy, declare a national emergency to speed permitting of pipelines and power plants. Remember, got to have the power plants for all the data warehouses. Order the rollback of regulation that impede domestic energy production, right? You know, I think that's kind of the stuff that Biden put in at the last. And, of course, last but not least, delaying that ban on TikTok. So that is what I'm being told, at least, like maybe starting right now. These are going to be the first round of executive orders by the president. $20 gold, $26.50. 800-951-0592.